Welcome everyone to the next episode of Let's Talk with our fellow interns. I have Nadine with me. She was a fellow intern in Keck, I think a few years back or a year back,
A couple years back.
a couple of years back. So
Mhm.
I will get to know about her experience. How was it at working at Keck? How did she get to know about the Keck and everything in details?
Mhm.
Once again, all the chapters are in the description. If you want to jump to any part, you can use that. Uh, let's get started.
Mhm.
So, Nadine, can you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Nadine. I went to undergrad and grad school at USC, and
Wow,
I studied. So the undergrad degree is a little convoluted. I went to Price, the School of Public Policy, and technically my degree says policy planning and development, and it had a focus on healthcare administration. And then I was part of the progressive degree program at USC. So then I pursued my master's in health administration at USC.
that's wonderful. So you are a perfect candidate for Python and Trojan family.
Yes, yes, yeah. And then as for how I came, I just realized I remembered how I came to work or be an intern at USC at Keck specifically. I knew I was always interested in healthcare, and I sort of just fell into IT. As a student worker, I worked at just picking up phone calls, doing service desk calls at the Engelman Student Health Center, and it was super fun, surprisingly. It was really fun, I think, because my coworkers were really fun. I had a really awesome boss. um, I got to meet a lot of clinicians there, and then I sort of thought like, how else can I fit myself into IT specifically with a healthcare focus, um, and then there was an opportunity to be a um, there was an opportunity to be an information security compliance resident in one of USC Keck's IT teams, their information security teams. And it was really great because I'm sure as a lot of people know, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. And while I was an undergrad, I wanted to see what it was like to work in the public sector. So I had another internship with the city, and I pursued it and I liked it, but thought, okay, I don't want to do this right now. And so I brought that experience to the information security compliance team. And in my interview, I think that was kind of what, made me stand out a little bit. I did have a little bit of familiarity with policies, procedures, and so that's how I came to be a resident or intern resident at the information security team. And I also had to do 1,000 hours for my MHA residency, which I'm sure you know about. So I also was able to use that experience, those hours, that time towards my MHA residency too.
I see. So that's surprising. Starting from price to health science and then working as a security intern at Keck. Uh,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
that's three different plates, but that's wonderful. So currently, where are you working at?
So right now I work in IT on the AST team, and I do a lot of strategy work, both for the department and then sort of with it enterprise-wide a little bit, and then also interdepartmentally within the IT department.
So is it with the Keck team or is it somewhere else with Keck, right?
Yeah, so it is with USC. So I know there's a university side and there's a hospital side. So I work under the IT department within the USC hospital, so the Keck Medicine of USC.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that means after doing your internship slash on campus job, you got a chance to convert it and you chose it because I mean, I know the work is great. So for people who want to apply, trust me, the work is awesome. We have people whose internship slash on campus job got converted to a full time. So it's actually a good place to be it.
Yeah, actually, mine didn't convert directly. So
Okay.
after graduation, I worked at another hospital for about 9 months, and then I stayed friends with people in the IT team, and one of them told me like, "Hey, there's this opportunity. I don't know if you're looking for a job, but you should definitely apply." And so I applied, and then I came back to
Back to
the
Keck.
IT department, right? And like you were saying, it's great because people might underestimate the experience as an intern, But of course, as the employer on their side, they're thinking, hey, you already know the people, you know the teams, you know the structure, you know who to talk to. So it makes it that much more easier to integrate you to the company, to the team, to the department. So it was a nice transition, and I knew a lot of the people already. So it was great.
That's wonderful. So going back in time, when exactly did you got to know about Keck, the program Keck? What year was it, and how was that? How did you find out about it?
Yeah, so it was 2018, and I was again looking for healthcare experience, ideally somewhere in IT, and there's this opportunity that showed up on the USC career site. So that's how I initially found out about it. And then I talked to one of the people on my current team right now, and he talked me through it, through the position, who I'd be interviewing with, and whatnot. So in terms of how I found it, it was simply through the
Connect SC
career
portal.
portal.
The Connect SC portal. Oh, that's nice.
That's what it's called. Mhm.
Yeah. So you applied. You had interviews. How was the interview process like?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Are you as a resident, right? Or as an intern or as a full-time employee?
As an intern?
Okay, that's what I thought. As an intern, it wasn't that bad. So Jonathan, who helps facilitate our internship residency program, so he initially did a couple phone calls with me before I even went in for an interview to clarify the position, what the ask was. And then I went into an interview with my direct supervisor at the time, and it was very simple. It was a one-on-one. I had a little bit of a discussion with Jonathan too, but mostly because I was working on the security infosec team. My main interview was with my supervisor, or at the
Okay, makes sense. So
Mhm.
I guess it was 2 rounds to summarize.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, and how was your work like? What skills did you use or you got to learn? And
Mhm.
what was your entire day like? Because I believe in 2018 you had to go to the campus to work, right? HSC campus.
Yes,
So
yeah.
can you tell something about your day? What was it to work over there like?
Yeah, sure. So I know it's very different now that post-pandemic or still in pandemic, a lot of things are virtual. So at the time, 2018 to 2019 is I did my internship residency for a year. So at the time, there was a wall where all the interns and residents sat. So it was really great, to students, and everyone was from a different team for the most part. So I know like Avi, for example, he was also on this series. So him and I were basically best friends throughout the summer because it was just us. Um, so for the most part, you go in and then you're sitting with all the other interns. And of course, not everyone's working at the same time. So there'd just be a couple of us working there. And again, like it was really great to we're working on different teams because I was specifically on the infosec team. And then as for day to day, what's really great about the internship, the program, just being an intern in the IT department in general, is that it's so diverse. My day to day, week to week was always different. Would say the same as the team always had a stand up huddle. It was very casual, are there any tickets that are open? The news that's relevant to us. Sometimes our supervisor would be there. The director would be there at times. Sometimes we'd have a PM would be on the call. So that stayed standard throughout. I think every day at 9 a.m. we would have that huddle. And then from there, it was what projects are you working on? So one of the projects I worked on with one of the PMs was mobile device management, MDM. So that was
Okay.
rolling out basically this application for users enterprise-wide, not just in IT, but of course it was piloted with IT, for users to use their phone and have essentially these privacy sanctions on patient information, anything work-related on your phone. And of course, there's concerns of, oh, is Keck seeing what's on my phone? Can they see my pictures? Do they see my location? So, it was
The
also
privacy part.
communication. Yes, and delivery of around communication was a big concern for the user. And so to help us roll it out, we hired contractors to help, every day we would go out and then have sort of like a little campaign table to say, hey, sign up now. If you do, you get this little pop socket that was branded for USC. It was neat to work with contractors, of course, to help them manage them, to do the data analysis of how many did we onboard today, what other people said, what worked, what didn't work. So that's one of the things I remember. But I also think what's really great about InfoSec, and again, an internship in general, is that you can work with so many different teams, especially InfoSec, because right, you need to put security around every single application, and that comes in or out of, that's built in-house or bought out of the box. You have to put some sort of security parameters around it. So it's really neat to work with different teams. So I wasn't siloed to information security. I got to work with revenue cycle, the clinical application team, business applications, sometimes working with people on the operational side every now and then even working closely with people on the information security team. I don't have a super hard technical background, which I think is also so huge when people are looking into this internship or when they want to work in IT in general. Usually when I was in school, people were like, oh, like you must be really technical, or I don't want to do IT. I don't know anything about technology. But you really don't, which I think is a huge selling point. And I wish, people would talk about a little bit more, is that you don't need
That's
to
true.
have these technical skills in order to have a place in IT. It definitely helps. And there's areas where you do need to know, like the back-end coding or the server storage and whatnot. But there's positions for people in healthcare, people in even like engineering or in information security, where you don't need those technical skills and nitty-gritty fine details in order to find a place. There's, for example, project managers, coordinators, quality assurance, process improvement. So these are just, titles I didn't know of when I was in school, both in undergrad and graduate school. It's sort of just after graduation, both in undergrad and grad, hearing what my other coworkers are doing, and then seeing what I'm doing, and then realizing like, hey, I've been here, I like what I'm doing. I don't have really technical skills. If I do need to learn something, for example, I had to work on disaster recovery and business continuity plans, which was, hey, if there's an earthquake, what does Keck do? How, as IT, how do we support the hospital? So
Wow.
that can get very, very, very technical, right? But you kind of just need to know the baseline, get an understanding of it in general, but you don't need to know the fine-tuned details, which I think is really important, especially in IT. Not everyone you meet is going to be an engineer or has a personality that people think of, oh, you work in IT. There's a lot of diversity.
So when you said about all your experience, right? So I just wanted to understand, what are the few skills that you still took with you after the internship or the on-campus job got over?
Thank you. Yes, I forgot to answer that part of the question. So I think effective communication, that's one of them. So whether that's verbal, written, presentation, across the board, I think it was really important. For example, giving your supervisor an update or telling your project manager, how did this go? Being able to synthesize a 30-minute or 1 hour meeting into a quick blurb. Hey, this is how it went. I think that is really valuable, which I didn't think of before, right? Or being able to translate really technical terms into very simple terms in a way that a 10th grader or 6th grader would understand, whether that's internally to someone on your team or externally. For example, operations, a clinic manager doesn't, they don't care about the code or what this formula looks like. So when you're delivering it to them, thinking about what's most important to them in a way that they can understand. So I think verbally, that's one. Written, there's a lot of value in just being able to write emails professionally. Again, something I didn't think of in school. You don't really get that type of experience because you're typically just emailing your counselor or your professor. And until you get an internship, residency, volunteer, or a full-time job, do you learn these are the little quirks of how to work in a professional environment. whether that's writing an email professionally or as easy as, learning Outlook or Google Calendar to schedule meetings. So these are little skills. You're not going to see it on a job description, but there's value in that. And then I think Excel. So I know in the MHA program, there was an Excel class. It was a little bit like intermediate to advanced. So I learned how to do pivot tables, make dashboards, create macros. Mine aren't, anything fancy, but being able to learn how to automate some of the tasks that people do on Excel, and also being able to make a dashboard or report even to make it easily understandable for whoever you're sending it to. So whether that's making it color coded or making titles really easy to understand, creating a knowledge article of how to use this, I think there's a lot of value in that, which I learned from my internship and I use today. And I think also learning how to be in a professional setting with executives, right? So it's, as an intern, you might not be you can or you can't be in meetings with executives. And then now being able to be comfortable in those types of meetings, sort of reading the room, knowing what to say, what not to say, and making connections. I think that's how I got this job. Essentially, I stayed friends with people from my internship. They're both on my team and some weren't. And that's how I ended up getting this job. So
Okay.
Definitely networking. I know it's hard to do. I'm still uncomfortable doing it sometimes, but that water cooler talk, I think that goes a long way too, both in the longevity of your career, but also just your day to day, right? Like asking, oh, what did you do this weekend? Or how was your daughter's game? Or like paintballing, I heard you went this weekend, right? So people, I think, will feel more personal. It'll feel more personal rather than transactional once you do need, if you have a question for them or if they have a question for you, it feels a little bit warmer. And then long term for your career, networking, of course, it never hurts. There's, it's harder for people. Some people it's easier for others, but I think it's good to always be curious and ask questions because, education and learning never stops.
Absolutely. The last part is on point. Be it a normal on-campus job or internship or a full-time, networking is very important. True. So how long did you work with Keck? Was it one semester, a year? How long was that?
It was a year. I think it was May 2018 to May 2019.
Okay, so this was the time when you were doing your undergrad degree or master's as what part of your
Yeah. It was when I was doing my master's.
Master's. Oh, got it. And any tips for the people who are looking to apply to this position? Because you were not from the tech background and you have spoken a lot about you should not be scared to apply. Anything else? Any tips for anyone who want to apply for this position in the future?
Yeah, I would say definitely look on the career portal. That's where I started. And then also a little bit of that networking piece, talk to previous interns or employees at the organization or on the team that you want to be. So for example, if you're interested in cybersecurity, talk to interns that were previously on that team, or even talk to people directly on that team to see what they do. Did they have previous interns on their team? What did they do? What did it look like? And I think whenever interns are asked, what did you work on? What did you do? What does your day look like? It's very different for everyone that you talk to, given their positions, of course, but also because what's really neat about the leadership here is they'll let you work on whatever you want. So let's say I didn't enjoy that mobile device management project, and I wanted to do more on the analytics side. I wanted to make dashboards, and I didn't want to do the front facing. I wanted to do the analytics side. Then you can tell your supervisor, or you can tell your team, hey, I really want to focus on this. I want to learn how to use Excel more or practice my presentation skills, and they'll put you into those areas. So for people that are looking to apply to this position, definitely look at the career portal, talk to people that were previously interns or currently work there, and then also have an idea of what you want to do and what you're interested in too, because that's what people are going to ask you, you know. And as a student, I think very much so take advantage of being a student and that student status, because anyone will talk to you. He's like, hey, I want to do an informational interview. Can you tell me more about what you do? Or like, your background really impressed me. Can you tell me more about how you can be in the position that you are today? So both knowing what you want to do and also being open-minded. I never ever thought I would be in the information security space, and I know I'm not in it today, and I don't know if I'll end up there, but I had that experience and it was really great, and it opened up this door for me. So I think that'd be the last tip, to also be open-minded. You know, maybe in your second year of undergrad, you think you want to be you want to do finance or health equity, I don't know. Or if you want to, okay, let's make it a little more relevant. Let's say in your undergraduate, when you're an undergrad, your second year, and you think, okay, I want to be a data scientist. And then let's say you get that experience here, you learn SQL, Tableau, you know how to use all the tools, and then realize, hey, maybe I want to be more on the managerial side, and you find out whether you like it or not. Just, you know, thinking what you liked 3 years ago or 5 years ago could be different 3-5 years into the future.
Makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so I think that's it. And the reason we are doing this podcast series is, you know, to help people network better and get to know the experience of current interns, past interns. We also did a series video with Jonathan, where he spoke about what he expects from the intern and what is the actual behind the scene process that goes of when a person just click apply, then what happens. Yeah. So are people welcome to, you know, reach out to you on LinkedIn if they have more questions or anything on that sort?
Yes, of course. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and if I'm not the person you want to talk to, I'm happy to connect you with the right person.
Definitely. So that's also added advantage. Our LinkedIn, our Keck page, everything is mentioned in the description. Please check it out. And if you're liking this video, one subscribe and a like is welcomed. So mostly towards the end, we do a rapid fire, and the questions are not told to our guest beforehand. The rules are, whatever comes first to your mind, you have to answer it. It's this or that type, and don't think. Whatever comes first, just say it.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. First question, very simple. iOS or Android?
iOS.
Okay. Homemade food or do you order online?
Homemade.
Homemade food. Okay. USC versus UCLA?
USC is home, of course.
Yeah, 5 years, right? Undergrad and masters, right? Do you prefer LA area or your hometown?
LA is my hometown, so both.
Oh, it's together. Nice. Reading books or listening to books, that is audiobooks?
Definitely reading.
Reading. Okay. Are you a beach person or you prefer going on mountains?
Beach.
Beach person. LA, I mean, yeah. What is your last Google search?
My last Google search?
Yeah.
Probably this restaurant that my friend texted me in Washington, D.C.
Okay. Perfect. And last question would be, what is your last dial number on your phone?
I just made an appointment for my annual physical, so very boring. But I made a call to the appointment center at Kaiser to do my physical.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is also required. Perfect. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule. And I hope the video was enjoyable. Sorry, more than enjoyable, informative. And please, if you like it. That's it. Thank you from my side. And bye. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.